Hi, I'm Christy Hartman. Welcome back to my studio. Can a brand new stencil handle the pressure of the high flow paint and gel plate madness? Today, I'm putting my new prototype design for pmartiststudio, Coneflowers, to the test. Testing both the positive and negative space with vibrant multicolored backgrounds using a combination of the fluid, the high flow, and the open paints. I will use the high flow to help simulate the unpredictable and rich saturation of alcohol inks to push the stencil's limits. Let's see if we get a fairly clean image. Let's get started. Let's lay down our stencil over the top of our plate. Let's add manganese blue. Okay, let's pull this off and we'll let that dry. Let's use what's on this stencil, put it down on top of our plate, run right over the top of it, see what we can get off that stencil. Very cool. I am kind of thinking that we're going to try and line this up with what we've got here for an outline, just to protect those a little bit. And then we're gonna do something different. So let's do something with these three high flow colors. I've got green gold, quin magenta, and Hansa yellow medium. We'll just go like that. I have way more paint there than I needed. So let's just put it down. And it's going to craze. It just is. Okay, now let's go over it with this green gold. And now let's add, we're just going to put a drop. I'm not even going to put it in all of them. Then let's pull this off of here and we'll let that dry. Well, I like that well enough that I thought, let's try it again, only like this. And let's put a little bit of yellow. I'm not going to put it on all of them. A dot there, a little bit there. Maybe a dot there. All right. Now this definitely spreads. So let's just gently put it around. You know, I have enough to probably do the entire plate. It's going to turn all that turquoise kind of a green color. Let's kind of look here. Put a little bit around here. I think we need a little bit more in here though. So let's just put some drops in there. See if we can put some of that yellow back in. It's kind of starting to remove some of the paint. I've got to be careful here, which is totally interesting. I actually really like that. All right, let's let it sit and dry. We're going to use teal to pull this one. We're going to pull this one with Titan Buff and teal. They seem like good spring colors, don't they? Okay, I really, really love that. It's got some areas that went dark, kind of neutral, but look at that. Isn't that cool? We're going to use some open paints. We're going to do a quick ombre with Titan Buff and the teal. Let's lay our stencil down right over the top of this. Let's take our piece of paper, and this is the Hammermill 32-pound copy paper. Grab a piece of deli paper. Let's do some yellow and some orange on this. We're going to use Cad Yellow Medium. Let's use a little dial-a-ride. And then let's use a little Pyrrole Orange. Okay, I think we have enough paint. Let's see. Let's start with the yellow and then go into the orange. Start with the yellow. Probably way more paint than I even needed. All right, let's go back over the top of it with this and take some of that excess paint off. Let's just grab a piece of the wet strength tissue, put it down. Oh, that is going to be gorgeous. Look at that. Okay, we'll be back to pull it when it's dry. And look at the cool stuff left on the plate. But look at that. Okay, I love that. Right up my alley. Let's use Phthalo Blue Red shade to lay down our first layer. Let's pull that off. Set that aside, move this out of the way. Let's grab a clean plate. Lay this down right over the top of this. Pull that off. That'll be great. Let's let those dry. We're going to paint the center of these with this benzimidazzolone yellow light. I'm just going to put a little bit out on my palette. I'm not going to need a lot because I'm going to make this fairly translucent. Let's let that dry. Alright, let's use some fluid acrylics. And let's just kind of lay them in. This is Quin Magenta. Let's add in a little bit of yellow. This is Hansa Yellow Medium. Let's go with a little bit of Quin Red. Let's add a little bit of this teal. I think that's going to be kind of cool. Let's let that sit and dry. All right, let's do the same thing with this one. Let's add a little bits of teal. Now let's add a little bit of this Quin red. Let's try a little Quin magenta. Let's let that dry. Let's pull this one with iridescent bright gold fine. Let's use this one with iridescent bright gold fine too. Ooh, that's going to be really cool. Also, very interesting. Let's take a look at some of the prints that we've completed today. This one, where we use the teal background. I think this one might benefit from some marker work on it, and I may do that later on. This one that I really, really love, this center part is super dark, and I think that might be kind of cool with maybe some white marker on it, which I may do in the future. This one that I love too, I love how in these two in particular, I use the high flow to mimic the look of the alcohol ink. I have alcohol inks, I just kind of don't really want to use them on my gel plate, but I love the look of them. So I thought this was kind of interesting. And then the gold background just kind of makes everything shimmer. This one I really like. I'm not crazy about these yellow centers. I have a new embossing pen and some new embossing powders. And what I might do is come in and scribble in some areas that I want to use the gold embossing powder on. But I'm going to hold off until I decide what I want to do with this print. These two, just used it to pull some paint off the plate. And then this one, which I pulled on Carnival Wet Strength tissue paper. And to me it has the look of a woodcut. I really love this one. Thanks so much for watching. I hope this deep dive into the Coneflowers Stencil gave you some insight and inspiration for your own creative play. This stencil performed brilliantly. It handled both the positive and negative space, and even under the intensity of the high flow acrylics and gel plate techniques, it just performed beautifully. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up. You don't know how important that is. Subscribe. Hit the bell so that you're notified of all my new content. Until next time, stay curious, keep creating, and let your art lead the way. I will see you in my next video.